Rahim. Mr. Naji and Huseen, country director, World Bank, his colleagues, provincial ministers, members of the diplomatic corps, officers of the government of Sindh, some business community people. I see the former executive director of the World Bank, Mr. Naveed Kamran Baloch here. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure for me to host this event here today, to bid farewell to Naji, who's been with us for almost 5 years. And I remember very clearly the first meeting that I had with him. I'll just give you a little background. Obviously, the government of Sindh and the government of Pakistan has been working with the World Bank for a very long time. But I actually started working with the bank when I became the Minister for Planning and Development around 2015. And at that time, his predecessor, who had an even more difficult name, so I just call him Ilango. Ilango was here, and we started working together, and at that time, we worked on the Karachi transformation plan. It took us about 3 years because we wanted to find the gaps, and just as we got everything done, and the next step was was obviously to arrange the funding, Ilango left, and a new gentleman came in. So I thought that the acquaintances that I'd made over the last few years with the country director, now I have to deal with a new person. But I tell you, when he came in, Naji came in with a lot of energy, and it didn't take months, it didn't take weeks, it took days for him to settle in and start from where Ilango had left. These were difficult times. We had the COVID-19 pandemic. Then we had the 2020 floods during the time that Naji was here, not as severe as the 2022 floods. We had a government change in between, so a lot of things happened. But despite that, the partnership with the bank continued to grow stronger, and we worked on, and apart from the projects that we'd been doing on the agriculture side, on the irrigation side, we'd not done a lot of work for the urban areas. And this partnership grew after the Karachi transformation plan. We started with the Karachi neighborhood improvement project. That was sort of the start, got a lot of success. We conceived the CLICK project, which is, I never remember the acronym, it's livability or something, I call it CLICK. That project, and we were working on that. We did the Karachi Water and Sewerage Improvement Plan, which not only includes upgradation of the water supply and the drainage network of Karachi, but improvements. For example, the augmentation for the K4 is included in the Karachi Water and Sewerage Improvement Program. We looked at transportation. The Yellow Line project was conceived initially. We were doing it with some other partners, but then the World Bank came in, and we worked on that, and all these projects started actually moving. And then came the 2022 floods. I'd be very candid, I tell you, when these floods came in, obviously we're not a rich country, we're not a rich province, and suddenly we were back by at least 20 years. All our infrastructure gone, especially the irrigation infrastructure, the road infrastructure, and we didn't have the resources. Though we did a lot of playing with the numbers, we diverted funds towards flood rehabilitation, but then we didn't have enough. And this is when, the partnership with the World Bank, and I'm so glad that Naji was here at that time, and his entire team. The floods, if all of you remember, hit us in August, end of July, August and September of 2022. We started working immediately. We used to have weekly meetings when his entire team would fly to Karachi or have these meetings. We learned after COVID, we learned that we can use technology and have meetings remotely. And within weeks, we had projects formulated, and the World Bank told us that it takes time for our board to approve. You can start spending from your other resources, and we will reimburse the money, because we are very confident that we'll get these through the board, and we will reimburse the money back to the province. And we took money from other sectors, and we started plugging the irrigation canals which had breached, plugging the dikes that had breached during the floods, making roads so that the connectivity, at least we established connectivity, and supporting the agriculturists, the farmers at that time, so that they can sow the wheat crop. And by December, which already started, but by December, I believe, I don't know, Naji would know better and he might correct me, but so we started in September, and by, I don't remember the exact date, it was 17th of December if I remember, the bank approved $1.7 billion for flood rehabilitation in the province of Sindh. 2 months. This perhaps is a record. Naveed Kamran is here, he was the executive director at that time. And this is, even, the best of corporations, I see, Arif Habib Saab and Zubair Saab sitting here, you can't work that fast. Nobody can work that fast. Within a couple of months, we had $1.7 billion arranged. And the flagship project, as the presentation said, and I'll just give you a little history of that. During the floods, Chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari was present. He was the foreign minister at that time. He cancelled some of his foreign visits and said that I'll remain with my people in the province of Sindh. And wherever he went, the people said that we've lost our houses. We want that we get our houses back. So he told me that, we should build houses for the people. I said, okay, looked at the numbers, thought it was not possible. I hope that he'd forget about it and not ask me again, but as he is, he doesn't forget, especially when there are things which benefit people, he doesn't forget that. So a day or two later, he asked me, what are your plans for this? So I ran to the World Bank. I said, look, in a fix, we need a lot of money. These are, at that time, we'd said 1.5 million houses. In the end, it turned out to about 2 million houses that we had to rebuild. And we made a plan with the bank. The bank, in that $1.7 billion, there was projects which we'd been working on earlier. There was the flood rehabilitation project for the irrigation, for the road sector, for schools, for hospitals. But this housing was something new. And we wanted to build 2 million houses. To date, the largest housing project has been in Nepal after the Nepal earthquake, which was 800,000 houses. And that was done over 5 years after the earthquake. This project, we wanted to build 2 million houses. Naji and the bank, they said we will put in the first $500 million, but the government of Sindh also has to put their own money. I said, sure, we asked the government of Pakistan. So in the first 6 or 8 weeks, we did $1 billion amongst ourselves. $500 million from the bank, $250 million from the government of Sindh, and we went to the federal government, and the Prime Minister promised us that they will match whatever the government of Sindh is putting. So we got $1 billion together. We formed a team. That team did miracles. The bank's support in that was unbelievable. And what we have is a miracle. We've already done, almost 500,000 houses are complete, about 900,000 or maybe more by now are under construction. 1.3 million bank accounts have been opened because we wanted to do all transactions through the banking channels. And all these beneficiaries opened a bank account. These were women who'd never, let alone a bank, they'd never been outside their villages. So these bank accounts were opened. Then Chairman Bilawal came up with another bombshell. He said, now I want to give them ownership. And the bank was very happy that, we are transferring an asset to these people. So wherever there was government land, and it's about more than half of the houses was on government land, this government land was given to the owners, and overnight, these houses are worth 300,000 rupees is what we gave them. Then the construction, obviously over time, the land, they now own, as they're millionaires overnight. This house is worth at least 1 million rupees now. So we made them millionaires overnight, 2 million families. This was only possible because the bank stood by us, guided us. And then the others came in, the Islamic Development Bank came in, the Asian Development Bank came in, and now we've collected $1.8 billion or something around that. So thank you, Naji. Thank you, the World Bank team. There's a couple of other things that I want to touch. Naji's association with Pakistan is not when he came to Pakistan in 2020. It's much older. It's more than 5-decade long association, and he and I know about it. And when he came into Pakistan, he had this love for Pakistan. And he had this love for the province of Sindh. Because there's a history to it, and I don't want to mention that. But he had this love for the people of Sindh because of something which had happened in the 70s. And he told me about this. I think the first few times that we met, he mentioned this. And that's how I know the passion that he has. Second thing that I want to say is that in 2023, before the government was to end, the government of Pakistan, on the recommendation of the government of Sindh, wanted to give a civil award to Naji. And that civil award is approved. But unfortunately, the bank has this policy, the World Bank has this policy that they don't let their employees to get civil awards from other countries. So that's approved civil award we could not give to Naji. I asked Naji, I said, this is something, why can't you get waivers from the bank and do this? He said, no, I can't do that. Then I asked him, Naji, if you remember correctly, if you remember this, I asked him, can we give the award to the bank, the World Bank for this? And he said, perhaps that can be done. But unfortunately, our laws did not allow that. We could not give a civil award to an institution. It had to be an individual. So, though we could not confer the award to you, Naji, you have that award. You have that award from the government of Sindh, from the people of Sindh. There'll be a place for you in their heart forever. And before he is going, a month ago we thought of another plan, and we're now working on it. And even though he's going to Tashkent, and he just told me Tashkent, there's only 2 hours flight from Islamabad, and there's a direct flight from Tashkent to Islamabad. We are now working for a rural wash program where our plan is to give 45,000, almost 45,000 villages in Sindh clean drinking water and sanitation facilities. Again, this is even bigger than the Sindh People's Housing for Flood Affectees project, which was almost $2 billion. This we are estimating at about $2.3 billion. And the World Bank has assured us for the support the same way that they supported the housing project. So inshallah, Naji, your successor would be here soon, and I'm sure you'd pass on our sort of, we've got a lot of demands, so you'll pass on our demands to her when she comes in, and I'm very grateful that his term could be extended by a year because he was also leaving his number 2 in Pakistan. So inshallah, this partnership with the World Bank will continue. We try and make it even stronger as time goes by. But Naji, we will miss you. And we were very, very fortunate to have a person like you help us in our development needs in times when we most needed it most. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you from my side. Thank you from the government of Sindh, and thanks from the people of Sindh. Thank you very much, Naji.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. Chief Minister Sindh, ministers, member of the diplomatic corps, civil servants, friends, brothers and sisters. It's a very emotional moment for me, and Chief Minister has given a lot of praise to the work we did together, but as he said, it was an absolute teamwork. I cannot take much of the credit for what we did together, but it has been a fantastic journey of working with you. And indeed, I will start with a personal note. Indeed, Pakistan was already in my heart before even setting foot in the country, because my father, Allah yarahmu, has made me make the promise to do something he could not do, which is to visit the country that helped him and helped his country, Algeria, during our War of Independence. And that was a personal promise I had made to my father, my late father, Allah yarahmu, to come and thank Pakistan in my own way. So this is how I ended in Pakistan, and there's also a special link to Sindh, as you mentioned, Chief Minister, including in our culture. Sindh is there's expressions in Arabic related to Sindh. So that's on the personal note. On the professional note, the journey that Chief Minister has described, I'd like to add one bit to it, to tell you how it was actually possible. Because indeed, when on December 19, 2022, or 1, mixing the 22, we went to the board of the World Bank with a package for Sindh of $1.7 billion when the portfolio was very small. My brother, Navid Kamran, was executive director at the board. We got many questions. Like, your portfolio is not really moving, it's a small, how can you go with such a big amount? And we made the bet. We made the bet and that this would work, because we had started working very closely with the government of Sindh. And when I say very closely, indeed it meant hours and hours of weekly meeting, chaired by Chief Minister, with the whole government. I'd like to thank the ministers present. They spent every week, hours getting into the project details. And this level of attention of the political leadership of the province, of the government and the chief minister on every single aspect of these projects, I can tell you these meetings can be very boring to get into very specifics, but the attention of the whole government under the chairmanship of the chief minister was something for me was exceptional. I had never seen this in my career. It was a game changer for Sindh, but later on for the whole country, because we started replicating in other provinces this model of focus on the portfolio and the results, and including at the federal level. And the disbursement rate, as we call it, of our portfolio in Pakistan doubled in 2 years. I have to say, on our side in the World Bank, it's of course a big team's work, but under the leadership of my deputy, Gailos Jogadis, who I'd like to thank as well. In these meetings, he does all the work, actually. I just listen and sometimes make a few comments. But it was a crisis and an emergency situation. The question then was whether it would last, whether past the crisis, the attention would stop on focusing on results for the people of Sindh. And it did not stop. We moved to monthly or bi-weekly meetings, of course, because the urgency was less. But I can tell you, in these past 3 years, not a single time did Chief Minister Sindh postponed or canceled the portfolio review. And this is the type of operational leadership that it takes. In fact, I'm going to tell you an anecdote. For the first time this morning, our flight was cancelled to Karachi because we had the portfolio review at 4 p.m. and no other flight except one arriving at 7 p.m. And we had a call with the Chief Minister, and he said, of course you have to come, we have an event. But he said, we'll have the meeting, even if it's shortened, we'll still have it after dinner. So after dinner, we're going to sit and still discuss portfolio issues. This is what it takes. This is what it takes, and this is how we could achieve that. So it is one teamwork between the government, the ministers, the secretaries, all the civil servants, and on the World Bank side, all the staff. I can see friends, colleagues, Suhail here, Kamran, who has been doing the housing project, and my whole team. They all missed their flights. They couldn't find seats, and they are in Islamabad today. And of course, Gailos, our operations manager. So this has been an exceptional journey, but it's not the end. Because country directors come and they leave and new ones come, and my colleague Bolorma, who's the new country director starting July 1, with the support of Gailos, will take on this work. I know it won't be interrupted any week, and the agenda and the needs are huge. What was achieved in flood reconstruction, but what was achieved also in Karachi, the neighborhood improvement project, what was achieved in the solar project, what we are starting to achieve in social protection and health, is complemented by a rich pipeline of operations, including the rural wash operation. My view is that this vision of the province and of Chairman Bilawal, because I know it was a commitment in the campaign to provide clean water and sanitation to all the people of Sindh, could transform the province. It could absolutely transform the province. You know that Pakistan has gone through macroeconomic difficulties over the past years, so all the focus is on exchange rate, reserves, inflation. The reality, which are extremely important, but the reality of development is health, is access to water, is having a title for their house and the security of a house that protects them from floods, and infrastructure, of course. And on this, Sindh is on an upward trajectory. So I'm leaving Pakistan, alhamdulillah, with enormous optimism, because the foundations of making success and impact on the ground are here, thanks to the leadership of the province and to my colleagues at the World Bank. I'm just one CD coming after the previous one and transmitting the task to the next one. the reality of all of you and the civil service and the political sphere, and my colleagues, whom I really thank dearly. Thank you so very much, Chief Minister, and have a good evening all. It's a very special moment for me, and of course, Pakistan is now my second country, so I'm coming back very soon, inshallah.